It's your best friend Kenny here, and today we have another spooky, disturbing story. I want you to ask yourself, how well do you know the people you interact with every day on social media? How would you feel if that person whose posts you like every day was accused of one of the most heinous crimes imaginable? Before I start this video, I'd like to first state that my heart goes out to the victims and their families of this case. This case involves real people, and due to the events of this case, many people have had their lives forever altered. My intention is to be as respectful as possible to the victims and their families. Do not harass or bother anyone related to this case or anyone mentioned here. These circumstances are difficult enough without having strange internet people making things worse. Finally, we live in the United States, and as you know, we're all presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. On December 2nd, 2022, a few hunters were enjoying a late season hunting trip in the woods of the Portal Hunting Club near Riceboro, Georgia, when they stumbled upon something that they did not expect: the dismembered remains of a person. The remains were of a white woman who was an apparent victim of a homicide, approximately 5'10", 190 pounds, with brown hair, brown eyes, and no apparent scars or tattoos. They would find the dismembered remains of this woman scattered across a 3-mile radius on the hunting club property in Liberty, as well as McIntosh County in Georgia. Authorities were able to determine that the remains were placed in the area around November 27th, 2022, and the individual likely had been murdered in the week prior. It would take 6 months before DNA tests were able to determine the identity of the victim. On May 11th, 2023, the Georgia Board of Investigation and the FBI were able to identify the victim as Mindi Mebane Kassotis, a writer who lived in Savannah, Georgia, with her husband, Nicholas James Kassotis, also known as Nicholas Killian James Stark. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's up with the AKA? Good question. Well, he was a writer and appears to have utilized several pen names. However, he appears to have gone by Nicholas Kassotis and Nicholas Killian James Stark outside of his writing life as well. We'll get into this in a minute. Upon identifying Mindy, Nick Kassotis was arrested in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, tampering with evidence, dismemberment, as well as a few other charges. Nick Kassotis is a former Army JAG and attorney. He maintained a large presence on social media, including X/Twitter and Reddit. In fact, Nick had recently learned that a story he had written called "I Think My Mother-in-Law Is Trying to Kill Me" had just been optioned for a film after it had gone viral online. Nick cultivated a decent-sized following on social media, and he was heavily involved in the subreddit r/nosleep, which is a subreddit for posting horror-related fiction. Up until his May 2023 arrest, he regularly posted on Reddit and his blog and interacted with people through Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, and other social media outlets. 2 weeks before his arrest, Nick had been remarried, although he had never gotten divorced from Mindy. Instead, Nick reportedly told people, including his new wife, that Mindy had died from COVID. Imagine Nick's wife's new surprise when her husband was arrested for the murder and dismemberment of Mindy. The specific details of the crime aren't available to the public yet. However, Nick's 12-count indictment indicates he used an insulation knife and a deer processing kit, as well as rubberized tubs that were used to move the body parts from the scene of the crime. The most disturbing part about this case, however, is Nick's writing during the period after Mindy's death prior to being arrested. Nick had a presence online, as most people do nowadays. Nick had his own subreddit, NM Rights. And Nick had a large enough of a following to where he had a sticky post at the top of his subreddit with the information to find things about his writing. He posted a link to his website. He had links to his stories, links to his social media, to his Twitter, his Instagram, his Facebook, his Goodreads. His website, www.nickmorefox.com, no longer works. I would imagine he no longer paid the domain fees. Nick had exciting news to share that his story, "I Think My Mother-in-Law Is Trying to Kill Me," had been acquired, the rights to which had been acquired by Sony. And as you can see, he had a significant amount of people who were happy for him, that knew him or thought they knew him and was aware of his work. Nick had a website, also known as kjstark.com. It was a Substack. This particular article by Nick is pretty interesting. On beginnings, sometimes figuring out the beginning is hard. To begin, hi, it has been a while. One of my goals in the new year was to edge away from my pseudonym, Nick Morefox, and begin writing under something closer to my real name, which is indeed Nick, but Morefox was a combination of two names close to me. I haven't written one of these since, but I'm mostly writing as KJ Stark, my actual last name, along with my middle initials. It's a personal decision, and possibly a dumb one, but here we are. Now, I told you we'd get back to this issue with him having multiple names. He claims in his own words that his last name is Stark. According to the jail records, his last name is Kassotis. According to his wedding license, his last name was Stark. During a hearing where Nick's bond was set, the judge set his bond at a high amount due to the fact that he owned multiple driver's licenses with different last names. On April 4th, 2023, he would write, "I've been thinking about beginnings a lot lately." Keep in mind, this is about 6 months after the death of Mindy. Later, he would write, chillingly, "I'm beginning some new things too. Life doesn't look like it looked 5 years ago, or 2 years ago, or 6 months ago. I had a lot of endings, brutal, painful things that dropped out of the sky and scattered my personal storylines. Now I'm figuring out how things look anew. I'm pitching ideas to people I admire. Writers I admire treat me like I belong at their table. I spend all my non-work time surrounded by happiness. My life is promising and beautiful in ways I couldn't have imagined. That's hard, too. I think about things too much, assume bad things will ruin it. I wonder if I'm cursed. When bad things, even serious, scary bad things, occur, as happened to me recently, and then causes a few probably foreseeable effects, I assume those effects will continue forever. A secret pessimism still lurks around the edges of my plans, whispering that destruction and woe are near." On April 25th, 2023, just weeks before his arrest, he'd write, "This isn't a story I'm ready to tell. The things I don't talk about." Note, in editing this, it occurs to me that some people might have guesses as to what this is about. I can assure you that you don't. The story behind it is bizarre enough that it does not lend itself even to more robust speculation. That I'm not talking about is the entire point of this post. But I do want to ensure I'm not, even by omission, placing myself in a particular group to which I do not belong. I don't talk about my past a lot. It's amazing how much people think they know about you if they get a little info about the beginning and a little recent info and some high professional points in the middle. Where I went to school and the places I worked form the illusion of fullness, of a history without gaps and questions and strange spots. I don't talk about it for a lot of reasons. Okay, that's not true. I don't talk about it for 3 reasons. The first reason is that it's hard to digest. I get a lot of questions, not interested questions, but weird or unbelieving questions. I don't always know what to do with those simply because I don't understand why anyone would make this up. I don't like this story, and I don't want to live it. I don't want it to have touched nearly every minute I've spent on this planet. If I got to choose a story, it sure as hell wouldn't be this one. I tell a lot of half-truths in passing to avoid those questions. They're easy ones. Estrangement, geographical complications, easily swallowed. I've gotten really good at knowing which ones don't provoke follow-up questions. It's a learned skill, a protective mechanism. That's because of the second reason I don't talk about it. The second reason is that people who get it often don't like it. They'll understand, they'll absorb it, and then they'll check out of my life for good. The supportive platitudes quickly turn into texts that go unreplied to and calls that go unreturned. These are the people who assume that no one lives through their story and is okay after. I'm still the same person they've known for years, but they don't think so. Somehow, I'm no longer their friend who used to dog sit or who was part of decades of shared memories. I'm something else now. Something broken, something that can't be fixed. That sucks. I hate that. A user named Hookland would reply to this thread and say, "You are good in the world. Nothing from the then erodes the fact from the now." And he would say, "This means more to me than I will ever be able to tell you." Mindy's sudden and shocking death obviously came as a surprise to those in her family and those who loved her. I was able to find a GoFundMe page that appears to still be active, and I will be linking that in the comment section below. My intention is to continue covering this case through either trial or if there's a plea. If you knew Mindy and were friends with Mindy and would like to share some things about your memories of her, please contact me. I'd be happy to share your story. And if you knew Nick and want to tell your story, I'd love to share it. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications here on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter/X, that's at AKBrews. Follow me on TikTok again, that's AKBrews. And you can find me on my other social medias. See the link in my bio. Thank you for watching my video. I'm Kenny, the Spooky Lawyer, and I will see you soon.